Hello, I'm Jay Alpinist. Today I'd like to talk about the 4 plugins I would recommend if I was new to purchase plugins or if I was new to Plugin Alliance. I'll put them in order of the importance that I think that they garner, and for me, the number 1 plugin you can get from Plugin Alliance is a BX console. There are 5 BX consoles, but I'm going to recommend one in particular. There's the Lindell 80, which is an emulation of an early Neve 1073, beautiful plug. There's the Console N, which is a emulation of Dirk's own Neve modern console. There's the BX Focusrite, which is an emulation of the blue Rupert Neve designed Focusrite consoles. There was only, I think, 14 of these made, so a great emulation, beautiful EQ on this, and it also has a de-esser. Then there's the 2 solid-state Logic consoles. There's the E with the black and the brown EQ. But for me, the one I would choose would be the SSLG console. And the reason I would go with the SSLG console is it's got some different features than the other ones. The E and the G both feature 2 different EQ types. And this is the reason why I would go with the G. You have the famous black EQ. But then you also have the rare orange EQ, and where the orange EQ is useful is that it is sort of like a Pultec-like shelf, which is a very musical shelf for the low end, and for the high end you contain sibilance up with this shelf, so really beautiful, useful EQ. You also have high and low pass filters available on all the consoles, a compressor, and a gate. But again, the SSL comes out on top because you can choose G dynamics, which are a little bit different on the compressor, or E dynamics, which are a little, I think they're a little sharper. You also have input gain, V gain. You can change the V gain for all, so that's going to give you a little bit more distortion across all channels. THD across all, again, more distortion across all channels. You also have some utilities like phase reverse, a mute button. You can change this from analog to digital, and what this does is that you can use this as strictly a utility to bring up or down the volume of a channel. Very useful. They also all have TMT inside, and what this is tolerance modeling technology, meaning that if I put this on analog, a large format console, every channel is going to sound slightly different because of the tolerance, the different tolerance of all the components compiled that make up a channel strip, and there's a load of components in there. Also, over time, the tolerance drifts, so each individual strip is going to have a different characteristic, and they've modeled that on these BX consoles. That's why I'm such a big fan of Plugin Alliance's BX console. I find it takes away some of the digititis and takes away some of the smeariness that you get with other console replications. So that's my number 1 pick. My number 2 pick is the Adapter Metric AB, and there is a great reason why this is useful. This doesn't make any sound or alter any sound. It's strictly a utility, but if I had my number 1 plugin, the BX console, this is my number 2 because I'm going to be able to take other people's music and reference against it. So if I turn this on here, I can reference against other material. So I can see what's going on in this mix. I'm just going to pull it forward a little bit. So I can compare the spectrum of what I'm working with another track. So this is my track, this is the other track. I can check the correlation, which is the phase response. I have a stereo image, so I can see if my stereo image is good or if I'm way out of whack. And then there's a loudness meter, which will tell me, how the loudness is. I have RMS, true peak, and everything I would need here. But my favorite is the dynamics. And what the dynamics does is it gives you a LUFS reading. And then it's also going to give you a reading of the true dynamics of the tracks. And if the dynamics are squashed, it's going to tell you that. It's going to tell you if you're being competitive with the marketplace, or I find pretty much competitive is a little low compared to what we're really seeing. A lot of these tracks you're going to see they're in the loud range in between 7 and 8. So very useful in mastering, very useful in mixing. The other thing you can do is you can take a look at only certain portions of the bands, so you can see how your low mid is doing, how your bass or sub are doing. So really useful. My next plugin I would recommend would be the BX Townhouse bus compressor. This is based on an SSLG bus. Super useful bus compressor. To add the glue, you just want to dial in that threshold until you're getting about 2 dB of gain reduction. We have some pretty ambient program material today, but you can see just pulling it a little bit. Normally you wouldn't pull the threshold out that much. You probably below 0 you'd be fine. You want a ratio of 2 to 1. On this program material, because we're working with some ambient stuff, you want a slow attack and auto release. That's going to give you that glue. You can bring in the makeup, and that's going to bring the uncompressed signal and mix it with the compressed signal so that you can bring up that volume. You also have a mix button here so that you can you blend in the mix between this compressed signal and then your uncompressed signal, again giving you some parallel compression vibes. The last plugin I would recommend is the Black Box by Analog Designs. This is a great saturation tool. You have 2 stages of distortion. You have a pentode and a triode stage. You have this beautiful air button which brings just some life to that saturation. You also have an alternate tube in case you're looking for a slightly different vibe. You can apply it to either the high frequencies, the low frequencies, or to the whole mix. And again, you have this mix button up here so you can find the perfect amount of saturation for the track that you're working on. So these are the top 4 plugins that I would recommend if I was new to Plugin Alliance and I was new to purchase plugins. Smash like and subscribe if you like this video. Feel free to ask any questions if you have any, and we'll see you again. Thanks so much.